What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. Back in studio, Justin home from vacation. He didn't drown in the ocean.
Almost.
Did break his back.
Did break my back. Spinal.
It's like he's our Mike Tyson.
You're less like sunburnt than I thought you would be coming in here, but you were limping way more than I was expecting.
I don't want to get off track, okay? But I basically learned a couple things about myself in the last week. And basically, I'm old. I've really hit that point.
It stinks that you just learned that about you. I've known that about you for a while.
Well, I was still feeling young, but apparently, like, the body language and the age of, like, all that is one now. I'm broken out here.
Yeah, I mean, you're what, 45, 50?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but I appreciate that. Turns out banana boats are extremely, extremely dangerous.
For almost 40-year-olds.
For almost 40-year-olds, yes.
Well, we're happy you're back. We're happy to be back here in studio, all three of us. I think we got a fun episode lined up for you guys today. Going to be answering a lot of your guys' questions. You guys send in voicemails or just commented on all of the socials. We'll obviously try to get to some of your questions in the chat as well. So we're excited to get into everything. Before we do, though, remember, if you want to get thoughts, intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you prefer to listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we're putting out. Speaking of socials earlier, you can find us on all the major social media platforms. Just search at the Dawgs Podcast, maybe even some minor social media platforms. I don't know. If you're looking for more Dawgs content, you can head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member, play fantasy football with us. The signups are up now through August. You don't want to miss out, so make sure you jump in there so you can play fantasy football with us, get access to the private Discord, hang out with Browns fans from all over the world. It's a good time for everybody involved. That's jointhedawgs.com. Become the official Dog Pack member, lose to us in fantasy, and just help support the show. It's a win-win for everybody involved. I think I won a league last year. Josh won 2 leagues last year. And last year was the first year Justin
didn't win a league,
but leading up to this year, he'd won everything.
Yeah.
So
tough times.
The reigning champs are here. So
yeah, thanks.
Come get some, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, come play fantasy football with us. It's a great time. You get a cool T-shirt. It tells you, your record and the league and all that cool stuff. So if you want to play fantasy football, it's jointhedawgs.com. And lastly, before we dive into everything, this is the last week before we get to the Tuscarawas County Browns backers event, Saturday, June 21st, Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia. It's the Bowling with the Browns Legends. Going to be former Browns players, current Browns player, Sugar Dre Donovan is going to be there, local boxing champion. The Dawgs will be there, interviewing people. You can get autographs, pictures, do some bowling, eat some food. It's going to be a good time. A pretty great event being thrown on by the Tuscarawas County Browns backers. So if that's something you're into, you want to come meet some former Browns players, current Browns player, meet the 2 of the 3 dogs. Unfortunately, I won't be there. Because I'm an idiot. But that's something you want to do. You want to help support the local Browns backer chapter. They've really done a lot the last couple of years to take it to the next level here in T County. That's Wabash Lanes, Saturday, June 21st from noon to 5. All right,
got it
right. I have it memorized now. We've been talking about it so much I have it memorized. So looking forward to hopefully seeing everybody there. So I think we got a fun episode. We're going to get to everybody's questions. But I think we're just going to kick it off with an old Kenny Mack voicemail, get the ball rolling.
Yo, guys, it is Kenny Mack, and what a good time everybody's having with the quarterback situation. I mean, we got 4 quarterbacks that everybody wants to know everything about, who's starting, but you know what? It doesn't really matter at this point. This is OTAs, man. OTAs is when you want to install your playbook, and goddamn, we needed to install a better one than last year, that's for sure. And it looks like the guys are excited. There looks like there's buy-in. Having 2 stud running backs that we drafted is fantastic. This draft class looks great. I mean, I don't get all the hate on Mason Graham. Maybe it's because he's a Michigan Wolverine. But the guy's got to start from somewhere. Maybe he puked. Who cares? He looks pretty good. The defense seems like they have the upper hand right now, and they should because it's OTAs. As far as the quarterback situation is concerned, I don't think anything's going to sort itself out really until maybe the second last preseason game. But really things will get going in training camp and these upcoming joint practices. Man, I really want to see good things out of the Browns in the next little bit. But these voluntary things, again, it's the same old, same old. You're going to have guys that want to get in shape. You're going to build up that camaraderie and build up that buy-in. But guys, let's go Browns. Like what I'm seeing so far. Let's go D. Let's get that safety room going and get another receiver. I'm out.
My biggest takeaway from the OTA so far, and I think it's a lot of players have touched on it, is the intensity's up.
Yep.
Everybody's talked about how it seems like they're all way more focused. The intensity's up. It's a way more, I don't want to say it's more intentional. Like everything they're doing has a purpose. It's just, it seems way different than years past.
Oh, I agree. That's fair. I mean,
last year was a joke.
I was going to say, that's all I was going to touch on. I was like, compared to last year, it just felt like there wasn't anything kind of with a purpose or organization or any, like it was just a walkthrough.
Like, why do we think that? Like, what happened for it to, like, obviously we attribute a lot of last year's problems with the quarterback play and injuries and whatnot, but just like it seems like, why did the preparation fall off a cliff? Was Deshaun just so bad that everybody knew it was fucked from Jump Street and there was just no point in trying? Because all we're hearing is how this year's way more focused, way more intense. You're being held accountable, all this stuff. And it's like, well, this is the same coaching staff as last year. Well, it's the same head coach.
It's the same head coach, but I mean, I think Dorsey was a big part of the problem. And it's from what the players are saying, and you can kind of read between the lines a little bit, but I think Andy Dickerson was a huge problem last year. It sounded like he wasn't holding anybody accountable. Jed Wills could just quit. Like he could just stop playing anytime he wanted to. Nobody was, and they kept starting him when he was out there, and it was like, there was no buy-in last year. You could tell they just didn't care.
And what did that guy say in an interview to get the job?
I put this on socials. I said, I think the Browns made a lot of bad choices last year in their hiring.
And the only thing that scares me is, and I'm a Kevin and AB guy, is that all the guys who hired those guys are still here.
Yeah, they made the decision.
So how high am I on Tommy Rees? How high am I on Musgraves? And because the same guys who hired Ken Dorsey and the other bad coaches are still here, and they hired these new coaches. So, again, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I feel like Kevin and AB have done more good than bad since they've been in Cleveland. But after last year, like, it's definitely starting to meet in the middle a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to believe anything until I see it on the field.
Right.
Until I see actual game results. Tommy Rees sucks. Must they all? You know what I mean? Until I'm proven otherwise, zero hope in terms of it leading to any actual success.
I'm like you, bro, but I'm like the other side of it. I'm like, we got a chance to be pretty good. Like these guys, like they obviously are talented. People wanted to hire them, and then I'm on faith, and optimism until I'm proven wrong, and then how that goes. Yes.
So that's. I guess I play devil's advocate with myself in my own head sometimes. Like part of me is like, man, look how much more focused we are. Everybody seems really high. All the reports are like it's a lot more intense. It feels better this year. Just feels better. And then I'm like, wait a second. All these guys were in charge last year. So
tricked.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what's going on?
It's a beautiful manipulation with Browns fans and media all into just we're going to be really awesome every year, and then
not so much. I don't think anybody thinks we're going to be really awesome this year, but we'll see. But I think we got another voicemail from our good friend Thriller. Let's get to it.
Hey guys, Thriller from Canada. I just listened to Mandatory Minicamp, and I was wondering, just a thought popped into my head. Do you think Andrew Berry would take that extra first-round draft pick we have for next year and try to use it to acquire Trey Hendrickson or potentially TJ Watt? Do the Browns have the money to sign either one of these guys if they were to acquire them? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it would be quite a duo with Miles on the other side, and it'd be an amazing edge combination. Let me know your thoughts. Take care.
I got just one theory, and the idea is insane, right? The idea of paying up like two premier, like elite top 5 guys. The only problem is those teams are not trading them to the Browns. Right. It's AFC North. Like they're not doing it over your dead body type stuff. I never.
That's what I was. It would have to be. We'd have to like go undercover. We'd have to like pose as a
Arizona,
different team.
Arizona Cardinals hat on.
Andrew Barry'd have to show up with like the glasses and the nose and the mustache,
Yep,
and be
absolutely.
like, yeah, we'll take them off your hands, and then pull it off. Ha! It's us.
But do we even have money for like?
He could wear his Brown shirt and then just stick like a little sticker on there and be like, "There's a logo on the helmet." Well, I'm not from the Browns.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, that's my. In terms of money. If there's one thing I like 100% trust AB to figure out, it'd be like how to make the money work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But the biggest takeaway is they'll never trade them to us. Now, I've been joking pretty much since the draft that we're going to swindle Trey Hendrickson out of Cincinnati. But they'll never give they'll trade him to the Siberia or UFL team before they trade him to the Browns.
And as they should.
I think they should trade him to us. Be a man.
So I guess the other part of that question, though, is that first round pick for next year. I mean, we got upset this year in the first round whenever we used the 5th overall pick on a defensive lineman. Are we getting upset if they use another first round pick on another defensive lineman when our offense is not looking great?
Well, one, we don't even know. We don't know if our offense is going to look great or not for next year's draft. So if you traded one of them for the guy who's led the league in sacks 2 years in a row or TJ Watt, I'd be perfectly fine with that, especially because you have a second one.
Right.
True.
You know what I mean? It's not your only first round pick, but and I'm not even convinced like next year they would be going skill position or offense with that. I like Caleb Downs to me would 100% be on the Browns' radar depending on how this year goes. I think the number one QB prospect that everybody wanted us to wait and draft next year, he's not even going to come out.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to stay in college. So I think if you had a chance to add one of those guys, I mean, I think it's not just adding him to Miles. It's adding them to Miles and now Mason Graham and other interior guys.
Collins.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that kind of thing. So I would do it, but they would
never do it.
never do it.
Never.
Maybe not for TJ Watt. Only because he's getting older. How old's Trey Hendrickson?
And Trey Hendrickson's older than him, right? Isn't he 30?
I can
we
bet
get
it
an
real
age?
quick.
I mean,
I'll get it for
I
you.
thought
guess
he was on.
it's one of those things where they both
He's 30.
So
He's
they're
30.
They're both 30. That's me. But if they were to get traded, it's going to be for at least one first. It's TJ Hot. But I just like, they're getting. Are we at the point? Are we in a win now window?
No.
You know what I mean? To give up a first round pick for one of those guys. I think if you're like. You made the championship game, an AFC or NFC championship game, and you just came up short, maybe you give up a first-round pick for a 30-year-old edge rusher. Not if you're in the Browns' current situation, at least in my opinion.
Oh, it's fair.
No, I think we're in a rebuild, even though they won't say it.
It's either a rebuild or it's like a very multifaceted retool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not a tear it down to the studs type of rebuild. It's a different kind of rebuild.
Yeah, but we're redoing the kitchen.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're remodeling a little bit.
So we're remodeling.
I like that.
So, but to answer your question, it'll never happen, Thriller, but we appreciate the question. And in theory, it sounds good. Question then. So we just got some questions now from the website. So people use our website?
I've been telling people on episodes, go to the website where you always tell people to leave voicemails. When they click on that, there's also an option to just type a message and send it to us.
Yeah, so
like if you don't want your voice on here, it's fine.
Yeah, not every Kenny Mack will just leave us voicemails. He's the voicemail king. Not everybody's Kenny Mack, put themselves out there. If like Josh did, just go there and you can type it in. I'll read it in a robot voice. No,
Do it.
So this one comes from Antoine on the website. Do you guys think the Browns will actually give Shedeur a fair chance to win the job, or do you think they will force Gabriel ahead of him because he was their guy in the draft?
I'm just going to guess, right? Because I don't think any of us know really what's going to happen. But I will be extremely, extremely disappointed with the Browns as an organization, especially if Sanders continues to look good and continues to, put good play on the field. I don't know how you can just continue just to kind of keep him down the depth chart. Like, I think both these guys are going to get a chance to start games. Like we were talking about earlier, I think that Flacco's probably good for, 4, 5, 6 games. And then after that, me personally, I don't think Kenny's going to be here. I don't know. I know you
Mary
think
Kay
there's
thinks he's
upside.
going to start.
It's crazy to me.
I think she's the one who said that, right?
Yeah, she said that her kind of takeaway was that they're preparing Kenny possibly to start with Dylan to be the backup.
So I guess
what do we do with Flacco? Yeah, right.
I guess it depends. What do you consider fair? You know what I mean? What is fair? What are you the definition of fairness? Because if it's both of them are going to get the same amount of first team reps, both of them are going to get to split everything down the middle. No, it's not going to be fair. Dylan was taken in the 3rd and Shedeur was taken in the 5th. So Dylan is going to get he's going to get more opportunities to prove that he doesn't get the job than Shedeur is going to get opportunities to prove that he should get the job because of where they were drafted. So it's on Shedeur has to be perfect and Gabriel needs to struggle for him to overtake him. Now, some could argue that is already happening. That is happening. And so it's one of those deals where it's not going to be split 50-50. And I won't even be shocked if we get into like training camp, late into training camp, preseason games, and you're seeing way more Dylan Gabriel than you're seeing with Shedeur. They're going to give Dylan Gabriel every opportunity to fail before they give Shedeur the chance to take his spot because they took him 2 rounds earlier. They obviously like fell in love with him to the point they spent a top 100 pick on him, whether we agree with that or not. Right. Now that doesn't mean they're being unfair, but there's a reason they took him ahead of Shedeur. So they're going to let him not earn the job as opposed to Shedeur is going to have to be nearly flawless to take it.
As somebody that's watched this team too for my whole life, I will tell you that it won't probably be fair for one of those younger guys to be starting at the beginning of the year also. Okay?
Well, that's true.
I have serious concerns about that. What's up, Aaron Butler? How you doing, brother? But I don't want the guys to get rushed out there too quick because I do think you can mess up their confidence and stuff like that. But I've just seen a lot of young Browns quarterbacks.
So we were talking before you got here about this whole quarterback situation thing, and it kind of sucks for both of the rookies if you think about it, because say Gabriel gets the first opportunity to start games this year and he goes out and has like 2 or 3 rough games and they're just not very good. And it's like, you know, there's pressure to switch over to Shedeur, so they make the switch. And Shedeur plays just as good or even better, whatever. Gabriel's probably not getting another shot. That might be the end of his opportunities to really start because we have those 2 first-round picks looming over the heads to say they're just going to take their quarterback next year. Flip it on the other way. So Shedeur starts out the season, has a couple bad games, they bench him. That's probably it. There's only 17 games. That's the thing. There's only 17 games, especially if we start the first few with a veteran.
If Kenny's on the roster too and he's starting games at the beginning of the year, the first time he does anything not great, it's going to be be over. It's going to be
there's going to be a huge contingent. It doesn't matter what quarterback it is. As soon as there's an incomplete pass, the 12 chants are going to be coming out. I might be chanting because I'm at the point where I don't necessarily care that he was throwing to backups. It's if he looks that good throwing to backups, then give him a chance to throw against the starters. If you have one guy who's going against the starters and he's completing 50% of the passes in practice, and you have another guy who's going against second and third stringers and he's completing 72% of his passes, let this guy see if he can replicate it against the ones. I'm not saying you have to come into practice and say Shedeur is getting every single first team rep, but maybe let him get 6 or 7 reps and see how he does with it to give him that opportunity. Now, maybe they just didn't do it because it's still so early. It was only 6 practices or something like that.
9.
Or 9.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if it continues into training camp and the first, week of training camp is still Dylan's only completing 50% of his passes in practice and Shedeur is still looking really good, then we'll start to see that momentum shift, especially maybe if they get a preseason game in and Shedeur plays really well in a preseason game.
I want to see that. I want to see those guys in preseason.
The only apples to apples comparison, at least that I saw, and I've been looking for stuff from these people that have been at the practices, was from Nate Segura. And he said that I think it was OTA's week 2, that Wednesday that it was open to the media. He said that there was a session where Dylan went against the ones and he struggled. He looked rough. So they moved him over to the other field with Shedeur against the backups. And he struggled over there too. And Shedeur was against the same guys, like almost perfect. I think he had 1 incompletion or something in that session.
You just can't teach what Shedeur does in terms of his accuracy. And like some of the plays I'm seeing, it's like above the shoulder stuff where he's taking the snap, he's looking left, holding the guy, then he knows where this guy's going to be. And then last second snaps his head, puts it on the money touchdown.
Well, and I've seen
how much do we have to see? And I've made this point, like we keep hearing about it and seeing about it, and it's like, are the Browns not watching?
right.
Because everybody who's watching the practices is kind of telling us that one guy looks like he's really struggling. And again, I don't put a ton of stock into stat trackers for practices because we don't necessarily know what the drill was, what they're supposed to be doing, all this stuff. But if on a consistent basis you're hearing reports, one guy's struggling, then you see he's only completed 52% of his passes. And players aren't talking. I haven't heard a single interview where a Browns player is talking about Dylan Gabriel.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I've heard multiple players on the Browns talking about Shedeur, about how well he's doing, about how people, now maybe they were asked about him.
I was just going to say that, yep.
How they gravitate towards him, about how well he carries himself. We've heard him in front of the mic, how well he does. Then we're seeing videos. We're hearing reporters talking about how good he just seems like where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? So, but it's not going to be fair. Shedeur's going to have to, he was a 5th round pick. He's not even a lock to make the team in terms of like normal 5th round draft picks.
Yeah.
So,
and I agree with everybody who says, the stuff like he might have been a 5th round pick, but he's not a 5th round talent. I think that that's a legitimate argument because I think I posted this the other day. 90% of the analysts, just roughly, all had him as a 1st round talent. Most of them had him as like a top 5 talent. He was mocked to early on, he was sometimes you saw him mocked to the Titans at 1, to the Browns at 2, to the Giants at 3, to the Saints at 9. He rarely did you see him mocked anywhere past that. And then we got later in the draft season. It was like, okay, maybe he falls to the end of the 1st round if things go crazy. Shit, he went all the way to the 5th round. Like, I don't think that 90% of the talent evaluators in the pre-draft process got this wrong.
No, I agree. Oh, at worst, everybody said he was an early 2nd round pick.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Early second,
at worst. And then he fell 3 more rounds. Like, so to the haters who are like, he's a 5th round pick for a reason, I'm not screaming NFL collusion, but I'm also, it has a lot to do with just the fact that if they eyed him, if he was not going to be their day 1 starter, they didn't want to deal with the circus of the Shedeur people who are just like, you can't put out a video with Shedeur in it because they won't watch it. They'll just automatically assume you're talking bad about him.
Right.
You know what I mean? The media report, like they just don't want to deal with that if the guy wasn't going to come in and be their day 1 starter. And I don't know if any team saw him as like, we're drafting him to start week 1. So that to me is more of why he fell, not necessarily because people saw him as a 5th round talent. Nobody saw him as a 5th round talent.
No.
So good question. Let's keep moving. Great handle here on Instagram. Beer Guy Wants Beer on Instagram asks, why do so many media outlets refuse to let the QB battle happen? They're drawing their own conclusions from practices with no pads and practices where the offense hasn't ever been fully installed yet. Can I say it? Clicks.
Clicks is definitely a big part of it.
Clicks. That's their job is to put out stories that get clicks to get people to read their stuff. That's literally what their job is.
That's how they get paid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is, honestly, we put out things so that we hope people will listen to and read. You know what I mean? And it's like you try not to put out clickbait, but you at least want to put out what people are interested in.
Yeah, try to put out a little more. I try to put like an educational spin on it, at least to get people to understand what's going on or what's being said, whether we agree with it or not. Like, hey, this is what Tony said. This is what Mary Kay's saying. Like, I'm not saying I agree with it, just saying this is what they said they saw.
Start the conversation,
Right.
So, if you just say, Mary Kay, for example, if you're Mary Kay and you get paid to report on the Browns and write stories on the Browns and engage with people about the Browns, you're not going to say, I'll reserve my reporting for the QB battle until the season has started.
Correct.
You're probably not going to get a very good paycheck.
Yeah, you're not going to have any articles in June and July. Like, there's nothing to talk about. So you got to, and the other thing too, it kind of goes back to the last question. The quarterback competition, it's not going to be fair. So why are these media outlets drawing their own conclusions? Because they have to. We all have to. We all have to kind of take the information we've gotten and say, this is what we think. This is who we think is leading or whatever, because like you said, they're not all going to get a fair, equal amount of first-team reps to prove they're the guy.
And it's so early on. It's so early on into the whole process and everything that it...
Oh, and not to mention it's the quarterback position for the Cleveland freaking Browns.
Right.
Like, it's always like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you met our fan base? You know what I mean?
We never have a quarterback. So every time, people thought DTR was going to be the franchise guy after a couple of good preseason games. And then the thing is, because we got Shedeur and because there is a legitimate world where he is the guy. That has people excited.
I think that's fair.
Like I am cautiously optimistic. I'll never be optimistic.
Sorry.
But I'll be cautiously optimistic.
That's why we blend so well. I'm so positive. You're so sad about it.
But the only thing people are going to take away from this is that we say we put out things that we hope people will engage with. These guys are just clickbaiters.
Isn't that like every person on social media? Like, I hope somebody likes my photo. Like, that's what you do.
So let's move on. Thank you, Beer Guy. I think we have another one from you here in a little bit. Nick sent a message on something. He has a couple two-parter here. Do we think Kevin Stefanski and AB are safe regardless of the outcome of this season? And he says trading down, I guess it wasn't a two-parter. He says that trading down, not taking a generational player, which I'm guessing that was Travis Hunter.
Yes.
I think Book's still out on that. For a defensive tackle when the team scored less than 16 points per game makes me think they're safe because head coach and GM worried about job security would not do that. I agree.
I agree with that 100%. Like,
It's fair.
if you thought that this was it for you, you'd be trying to get as much playmaking talent to score as many points as possible.
I mean, I think we all kind of talked about it like before we started getting, like we all thought they were going to go quarterback because we all thought like if you didn't have a great year this year, you were probably not coming back. Do I think they're no matter what happens?
That's where I'm at. Yes.
They're safe. No, but I do think I don't think it's based on wins and losses. You know, I think if we only win 3 games again, but we maybe we found Shedeur or, you know, even Dylan Gabriel or even Kenny Pickett. One of them seems like by like end of the year is kind of having like a Bryce Young second half of season, you know, like starting to play pretty well. We're putting some pieces. We're not embarrassing. We don't have 15 pre-snap penalties a game. We're not only averaging, 12 points a game. Like it looks like, okay, they figured some things out this year. Another draft with 2 first-round draft picks. Like we look more disciplined. We look more prepared. We look more put together, more cohesive. Then I think, okay, they're back, even if we only win 3 to 5 games. If we win 3 games and it's just
last year
dumpster fire again, we look lost. People don't know plays. We can't score points. It looks like there's no direction. You know what I mean? It's just like we're still so far off. Then I'm not going to say that it's 100% guarantee that they're back. I do think that they're probably safe.
I think it had to go assurances.
I think it would have to go off the rails for them to not be back.
You would have had to have assurances from the owner to make that move, to give up the Travis Hunter, what he could become for your team, to do the Mason Graham thing, like to pass on quarterback until forever. Yeah.
You can't have Journey telling you, are you excited to have Travis Hunter and then trade the pick away? Okay.
Right.
That's
awesome.
kind of the world we're living in here. So I would say I agree with you, Blake, but I do think that it, like what you said, if it's complete dysfunction again and it's like you said, no direction, the schedule's tough enough. We think that it could be really bad. It probably should be bad.
Even Jimmy has hinted at the fact that like they're not necessarily expecting to go to the Super Bowl this year.
It's fair. That's
like
smart.
You know what I mean? He has said like it's going to take some time to get out. He said we took the swing for Deshaun. It didn't work out. It was an organizational decision, and it's going to take time to get out from under that, which implies we might suck. And we know this.
Remember, he said we're not going to force a quarterback at 2. It might take a couple years to find our guy.
Yes.
A couple years.
Yeah.
So that's,
I mean, like trading your pick for a second first.
So that's the thing where I think I don't think it's based on wins and losses whether they're back. I think it's based on how those wins and losses look. If it's like, oh man, these guys are just the epitome of dysfunction again, then I think I don't care what Jimmy says. He's still a billionaire that has a history of acting erratically. They could be gone, especially if there's like a hot candidate on the market.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then they could be gone. But I think he's invested in this philosophy in spending that AB does. I think they have a ton of faith in Kevin Stefanski. I just think they took a big swing and missed, and they kind of all realize that happens if you're going to go for it sometimes. And now it's just regroup and try again.
I think that AB is probably more safe than Kevin because if, like you said, if the team falls apart, if there's no cohesion, the offense looks like crap, and he's the one running the ship, it's easier to part ways with him. But I think Andrew Berry's got himself a little more job security with the way he's doing the salary cap. Because we talked with Jack Duffin about that, how like your whole organization has to be invested and on board with that style of doing it, the way they spend the cash and everything. So I think that Andrew Berry's probably more safe. But I mean, for me, it all comes down to these draft picks too. Like if Judkins comes out and he's Trent Richardson, and Sampson comes out and he's like, Jerome Ford again, and Mason Graham is Siaki Ika. Like, come on.
If that
kind of stuff would.
If that happens, though, at some point, I'm questioning our coach's ability to develop players.
That's true. Well, okay.
Because again, it's another draft that people said that like a lot of people were saying, oh, I only gave out 2 A's and the Browns are one of them.
I thought we nailed it for sure.
You know what I mean? So if that's another year, and I've talked about this, people like to bag on Andrew Berry's draft, but if you go look at his post-draft grades every single year, they're always A's, which means he took the players that everybody unanimously thought were good picks. And then if they don't pan out, it's like, well, we didn't develop them. And it's like at some point, if we did it again, if you had another draft where everybody's saying it's an A, and then 3 or 4 of them are busts, it's like, can we not develop any of our young talent?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you have to start looking at coaching.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we got a do we want to see? Watch the tape. He's shotgun, still floats back for stepping him into the pocket. I don't believe you watched the tape.
Who are they talking about? Shedeur?
Yes.
He did in rookie minicamp. I have not seen a single clip where under pressure, Shedeur has drifted back in the pocket. Every time now, he steps up.
When you when you had 0 run game, played behind the worst offensive line in football, and basically your only way to score points was to try to make enough time for yourself to be able to throw the ball to Travis Hunter, that's pretty much, that you kind of had to do that. And then it gets you in trouble. But we've also talked about this is going to be the first time Shedeur's played behind what we hope is a good line and has a good running game in his entire career, maybe going back to high school. So I don't really believe you watched the tape.
Yeah,
that's just what I'm saying.
Chewy says, haven't they said that he's improving on not drifting back? I don't know about that specifically. I've seen it, that he's not doing it as much or at all anymore. But Mary Kay put out an article saying about how much he has improved over the last 2 weeks of the OTAs and the minicamp. And she's like, if he keeps improving at this rate, he could be the starter. Like, she actually put that out there. And I was like, wow, that's okay. That's pretty. She must have been pretty impressed with how far he came along. And we talked about it. We heard reports like his mechanics look different.
Yeah.
It looked more cleaned up, more precise. Like, he's working his ass off on all these things. I just think he's doing everything that we've always wanted a potential franchise quarterback to come to Cleveland and do.
I think he's just doing everything that they told him on that call. They said, go out and earn it.
Yeah. Go work.
Make it yours. Yeah, go to work. And he's doing that. Like, all of that. So, I mean, if you're a Browns fan and you're rooting against either one of those guys, I guess if you're a Shedeur fan, I get it. Like, you want your guy to get him. But, like, if you're a Browns fan, you're like, I don't want either of these rookies on this team. I don't know what we're doing. That's the only way we survive
they've ever
this.
played. Like, come on.
This is the only way we survive this salary cap deal, I think, and I don't understand just being negative on a guy we really haven't seen yet.
I agree.
All right, let's keep going. We have a voicemail from our good friend Andrew Jackson about expectations for this season. Let's hear
God.
it.
So what's going on, guys? So my question to you guys is, has your optimism or expectations changed since the pre-draft process to now after OTAs and minicamp? And if so, why is that and what has changed?
I feel like that kind of goes back to how we started the show a little bit with the vibes coming out of the OTAs and minicamp and everything. It's like the intensity's better. There is definitely cautious optimism that we're not going to be total ass.
I think my optimism is that we won't look like a dumpster fire. If you're talking about my optimism in terms of wins and losses, no.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like 5 tops as it stands right now. Until I see what teams are falling off and what teams are, how hard is the schedule really? Because right now on paper, if I look at our schedule, I have a very hard time going win. I can just L down each half.
When it first came out, I ran through it just real quick, and I saw maybe 2 wins, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
I'm optimistic about I'm optimistic about the running backs. I think Mason Graham's gonna be good. I'm optimistic that I do think eventually Shedeur is gonna play, and I think he has a chance to be good. But the schedule looks brutal, and this team, just anytime I have even the tiniest bit of expectation on this team, they just dump on it. So I'm cautiously optimistic that some of our young players are going to turn out to be good. but I don't see us winning a lot of games this year.
I
hope I'm wrong.
My expectation, I do expect the defense to still be, top half of the league, maybe even better, maybe top 10, top 8, whatever, because they are so good. They've been so good under Jim Schwartz. Last year they were good, usually in the first half, but our offense was so bad it just dragged everybody down. And the thing is, like, for us to have a good win total, it's going to take one of the rookies to have like something resembling a Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud rookie year, where it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see him coming in here and being that good right away.
Sure. I would be extremely, extremely. It's hard to tell because it is early, but like I think anything over 6 wins, I'm like, holy crap, it's kind of a good year for us, I guess. That's kind of just when I look at it. I'm usually positive on this stuff, but I'm like, I'm not like going down the schedule and going Buffalo. Yeah, we got that one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard, especially at this point in the year, like where we're not sure.
It's tough when you don't know who the
quarterback is.
It matters so much, which goes back to why do we talk about it? Why do media outlets talk about quarterbacks so much? Because it matters more than anything else.
That's right.
Oh, let's see here. Beer guy wants beer. We're back. I like it. He asks, are we even weak at receiver, just like everyone claims? Jerry Jeudy is great. Cedric Tillman showed what he's capable of for those 3 weeks until his concussion. If he gets back to that level, he's one of the best wide receiver twos. If Deontay Johnson is mentally in the game and at his best, which is a big if, he says he's automatically the best wide receiver 3 in the league. If he's not, we have Fannin and Njoku and Sampson who can all line up outside too. We're not going to struggle there nearly as much as people say. I guess what I'll say is we don't know if Jerry Jeudy's great yet. He's had one great season, and we hope he builds on that. And it sounds like in OTAs he looks really good.
Bro.
Everybody was like, the dude is awesome right now.
Yeah. So, but I'm just not. Again, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket off of one. He's had more mediocre to bad seasons than good seasons. So now if he comes out in the first month and he's just balling out again, I'll feel much better. Cedric Tillman showing what he can do, what he's capable of for 3 weeks, to me is almost meaningless. It was 3 weeks, and he's yet to show, even going back to his last year in college, that he can stay on the field longer than 3 weeks. I mean, the guy's been hurt more than he's been healthy since he's been here. At least like when we've needed him to play. Like he was healthy when we had DPJ, and he wasn't on the field. Then as soon as we trade DPJ and Tillman gets out there, just banged up all the time.
He had a hamstring his rookie year, I think. Dealt with, yeah.
I will say that if Deontay Johnson's mentally in,
Oh,
he's not the best wide receiver 3 in the game. He's our 2.
yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? /1A. Like the guy.
There's games where he could be the lead guy.
Yes.
So it's a big if, but we talked about this the last episode last week. Could be the steal of free agency if he's mentally in. If he's mentally in and he's ready to go, like could be, I mean, considering we got him on, I mean, for basically free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the vet minimum, like he has a chance to be the steal of free agency if he comes out and produces. And then the other guys you mentioned, obviously we're fans of Njoku, but he gets banged up. And then the other 2 guys are rookies that I'm just not going to put stock into what they're going to do for this team until we see them do it against ones in live game action. Like OTA, Fannin looked great in OTAs. Well, that's great. It's OTAs. I'd rather you look great in OTAs than bad. But
right.
You know what I mean? But until I see you do it against number 1 defenses, really mixing up their looks, other teams' best players, like I'm just not putting much stock into that.
One guy that was encouraging, we talked about this, was Jamari Thrash during OTAs and stuff, because Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Numbers, these guys were all in the secondary, and he was running with the ones because we had nobody else. Because like Kenny says in the chat, Cedric Tillman he also missed a bunch of OTAs and minicamp because he was injured already. So Thrash was the de facto wide receiver 2 out there because Deontay Johnson wasn't there during OTAs anyway. So that was good. That was encouraging for me that Thrash was making waves with the first team.
Yeah. I mean, we've been waiting for that.
Yeah. Like I'm again not crowning anybody, but if he's out there against the first team, they're like, man, this guy can't catch anything, can't get open. That's bad. But he was actually impressing. So that's at least encouraging.
Like I look at OTAs and training camps the same way I look at the preseason games. If you look great in them, okay, good, but it doesn't mean anything. But if you look bad in them,
it means a lot.
It's not a telling sign. Just like a preseason game, we've seen the Browns go 4-0 in the preseason, I think, and then not win any games in the regular season.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm starting to think this is going to be the wide receiver core we roll into the season with, and I'm also think that is crazy. But I'm starting to feel like it's going to be the reality, which scares the living poo out of me because we're one Jerry Jeudy injury away from. I mean, right now, your top 3 guys are Jeudy, Tillman, and Deontay Johnson. If Jeudy goes down, all of a sudden you're relying on Tillman who can't stay healthy. And
he's done it 3 games.
And a Deontay Johnson that you don't even know if he'll still be on the team. He's here on a vet minimum. You don't know if he's going to be mentally bought in or whatever. So all this, there's a chance you're like a Jeudy injury away at one point in this season from Jamari Thrash is your number 1 wide receiver.
And Jeudy has a history of hamstrings and injuries and stuff that has caused him to miss time in Denver. So it's definitely concerning, man.
Like I need another guy on this team who is reliable and consistent and has played at least like a solid level in the NFL. I think outside of Jerry Jeudy, there's nobody on this. Jerry Jeudy and Deontay Johnson for a couple seasons in Pittsburgh, but outside of Jeudy, there's nobody on this wide receiver core that I think you could use the word reliable.
No, nobody's.
Not
yet. I think David Bell's the only other one who's caught a touchdown pass in the NFL.
And he's hurt.
You know what I mean? Like that is like that. You're just playing with fire. If you know what I mean, like injuries happen. If anybody knows that it's the Browns.
Yeah.
And to think that you're a tweaked hamstring on Jerry Jeudy away from potentially just, I mean, you might as well go to the wishbone.
Oh, and something to keep in mind when training camp coming up. These guys that tweak their hamstrings and have these injuries in training camp, that shit lingers all season.
Yeah,
they will deal with that hamstring the entire season, on and off.
Yes.
Happens every year.
Either that or they'll be out until the bye.
Right.
They just sit for 2 months until, and by then, awesome. You played with Jamari Thrash and Robert Woods as your 1 and 2 for the first 8 games of the season.
Michael Woods.
I know
Robert Woods would be an improvement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just... and then Dog Pound 365 says everybody's talking about us being light at receiver. What realistic targets are out there? I pulled up the list of wide receivers who are still free agents right now. Throw some names: Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Jamison Crowder, and then you start getting into like really bottom of the barrel: Kevontae Turpin, Nelson Aguilar. I guess Tutu Atwell and Tyler Boyd are interesting. Allen Robinson, Chris Conley, Deontay Hardy, DJ Shark, Ashton Doolin, Brandon Powell, DJ Turner, Jalen Darden, who we've had here, Nasimba Webster, Anthony Schwartz. You could
probably stop on that list now.
You know what I mean?
Once you hit Anthony Schwartz on the available list,
it's one of those things where it's slim pickings. The names who jump out to me there are like Keenan Allen,
not coming here.
Tyler Boyd,
maybe.
I mean, I like Tutu Atwell, but that's Jamari Thrash to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, to me, the biggest thing is the trade market, which guys like we talked about with Olave and Terry McLaurin. Like, if we were to add one of those 2 guys, I feel significantly better about the wide receiver.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if we added Keenan Allen, I'd feel better. He's just getting, I mean, he's
old.
He's almost as old as you.
He was still productive though for the Bears last year when he was in there.
He had flashes. He had extreme
really
good flashes.
Games. Yeah, I think that he could come in here and just. Hey, when you talk about reliable, at least he's a guy who can get open, catch the ball.
Yeah,
he gets banged up a lot too, though. I mean, I guess it's the NFL and everybody does.
But again, if you're just trying to add more ammo to a wide receiver core that you think is going to get banged up, likely, then.
Honestly, I would go get Keenan Allen and Tutu Atwell and Tyler Boyd and just like get rid of David Bell. I would just because I think those 3 guys would be all better than like the bottom 3 on our depth chart.
Yeah, who would you keep? I mean, obviously Jeudy, Tillman, and Thrash?
I'm probably keeping. I don't want to give up on him after a year, especially when he just had a good OT.
And Deontay, obviously, if he's mentally right,
I'm not
he
giving
can
up on
stick.
Deontay.
So there's 4 guys, but after that,
are we feeling good about Michael Wood staying healthy?
Staying healthy? Probably not. He's also another guy who's flash.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But part of being good in the NFL is being able to do it week in and week out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying we got to go out and find another number one, but I'd like to go find like another really solid number two, a guy who can maybe step in and be your number one for a game or two if Judy goes out. Right now, it is rough because I automatically assume if Jerry Judy goes out, Tillman and Deontay Johnson are already out. You know what I mean? So I just automatically assume if Judy goes out, we're already on to Woods and Thrash as being our 1-2.
David gets hurt all the time every year.
You know what I mean? So
I do wonder if some of the lack of urgency, not that I agree with it, about the wide receiver position has anything to do with they're going to run more 2 tight end sets. They're not going to have the 3 wide receiver sets out there as often. Maybe they don't feel like they need to pad that position as much. Again, not that I agree with it, but I'm just trying to figure out why they're not trying to bolster it a little bit.
Maybe they're confident in the room.
does it every year. We talked about this
a
couple years ago. We were like, there's no way you're going in with this linebacker core. We went in with that linebacker.
And then
in 1 year's, well, maybe this was Dorsey, but it was like, well, there's no way we're going in with these tackles. And then we went in with Greg Robinson and who was the right tackle? They were bad. And Greg Robinson was just spending 50% of his time smuggling drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then it was, that might have been Dorsey still though. And then it was, no way we going with this linebacker core. And then we did, and they were freaking awful. And then it was, there's no way we're rolling with this D line. And we did, and they were awful. You know, so is this going to be that position group this year? No way we roll with this wide receiver core.
And then it gets
and we did,
next
and
year.
then they're awful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then next year they're like, oh, the wide receivers are so bad, and we really like attack it and address it.
Yes, that's
but,
it.
But one of the other positions is now,
Suffer.
3 years older.
Right.
You know, and it's like, oh, well, we went in on wide receiver, so we didn't grab any offensive tackles. And so now our shiny new wide receiver doesn't have any time to get open because we can't block. So it's like, can we not go like all in? Can we maybe build a roster like, a bunch of different positions, not just be like, oh, well, we got some great wide receivers now. All of our linemen that were good 5 years ago are decrepit and can't walk anymore. But at least we got a nice shiny new wide receiver.
I will say if one of the rookie quarterbacks, if we come out of this season and they have proven to be the guy and we're like, we got our guy, we got our franchise guy, we're pumped, they will be defying freaking odds. They don't have a whole hell of a lot to work with to get there. Plus, like we said earlier, they're not exactly starting out of a fair fight to begin with.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting.
All right. So a little rapid fire here. Alexander on X. Did the Browns pass on drafting a safety this year in hopes of landing Caleb Downs?
I hope so.
See, this is where when I read this question, I was like, I would, if my GM is passing on a position right now of need in this draft because he's focused on one specific player who will probably be a top 10, top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, I think he's.
What are you doing? That's a terrible thought process.
Well, we got
so
two
I
of
don't
those.
think so. Obviously, he's a guy that was on their board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say, well, I'm not taking a safety in 25 because I know I'm going to get Caleb Downs in 25.
I don't think
you don't know that.
I think they literally just ran out of draft picks addressing stuff, and then they were just like, okay, well, we're gonna see what happens with
And there's only so many draft picks and so many, you know what I mean? Like you said, like you're not going to be able to fill every single hole in one draft. It's just not
right.
It's not realistic.
We could have taken a safety in the 6th round.
Yeah.
I guarantee he's not going to be Caleb Downs though.
Yeah,
You know what?
or-
I can't.
I feel like they
I
did a good job of bringing in veteran depth with Kazi and Rayshon Jenkins, like to add with Delpit and Hickman and these guys. Like, okay, it's not great, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it's going to be serviceable.
I think it's way more important to be deep at corner.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I feel good. I mean, do we think Martin Emerson's going to have a bounce back year?
God, I hope so.
I
hope so.
do because
Rookie year and 2 years ago, Martin Emerson, I was like, this guy's fighting to be the number one corner on this team.
Should have been a Pro Bowler in 23.
Yes. And then last year, it was like, couldn't cover anybody, couldn't tackle anybody. He just like, it looked like Greedy Williams.
If I had to predict, I would say yes, he does have a bounce back because we saw 2 good years, 1 down year. To me, that just, I feel like the truth is more in those first 2 years. He was so good. I'll never get over that Mike Evans game as a rookie.
Shut him down. Locked him down completely.
We got a voicemail from Brad.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, you guys are going to love this one.
Oh boy.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. They're gonna make you cry. You're gonna want to say goodbye. They're definitely gonna tell a lie and hurt
What's going on?
you. The Cleveland Browns, yeah. Yo, guys, it's Brad Moneymaker. What is going on? I got a question for the boys. Yo, so basically, the funds are finalized. I think the governor's got to sign it. We're getting a new Brown Stadium in Brook Park. Are you boys stoked for it? Also, one other question. Who's going to be our starting quarterback week 1? I'm going with the legend, the only one that matters. You know, Joe Shiesty, Joe Flacco, baby. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Can't wait for the show, guys. Let's go, Browns.
Somebody needs to take the beer away from Brad before he sends in voicemails.
Those are very.
I want to know how long or how many times he practices the songs before he actually records.
Based on that, I'm going to say
Hey, next
0.
time sing the outfield, bro. That was a poor choice.
So one, I'm extremely pumped for the new stadium. Like, I think we've all been very pro dome since the news of that came out. I've been screaming about a dome since we started this show before it was even being mentioned.
Like,
you guys can go back and see the videos from years and years and years ago. We're talking dome.
Yeah, like I just think it's going to be a way better game day experience. To put things in perspective about how bad the game day experience is at the Cleveland Browns right now.
Yeah, what is that like?
I just went to an Indians game last weekend or the weekend before. I was running a little bit late. Okay, the game started at 1:40. I was in Akron at like 1:00. So I'm running a little late. Mm-hmm. I dropped the kid off at my mom's, get in the car, get up there. I get into Cleveland, getting off the 9th Street exit at 1:30. First pitch is at 1:40. Get off the exit, get parked. I'm in my seat to see the first pitch.
Wow.
Watch the game. Stopped in the team shop on the way out for a couple minutes, picked up some stuff, got to my car, and was on the highway and almost back to my mom's house in Akron, like 35 minutes from the time of the last pitch.
Yep.
Getting in and just, it's unbelievable how much smoother the game day experience is. I went to go get food in between a couple innings, like walked right up, grabbed some food, back in my seat before action starts from, in between innings, pitchers warming up. Like, it is just the game day experience at that compared to the last Browns game I went to in Cleveland, where I have to be in Cleveland 3 hours before the game even starts because they're shutting roads down. I have to park either in a parking garage where it's going to take me 3 hours to get out of it, or I have to park, 4 miles away and walk in the gusty cold winds. That no matter where you park, it's a 20-minute walk to the stadium, I feel like. It's just...
Or you overpay to park.
Yeah. And then once you're into this... The last time I went to a Browns game in Cleveland, I was just in this giant cluster of people standing trying to get into the gates, and we weren't moving. It was like I was at a concert in the mosh. And I was like, we're going to miss kickoff. I've been in Cleveland since fucking 8:00 this morning. I'm going to miss kickoff.
Was that when the Bengals game we went to?
Yes, because we couldn't, and they were like trying some new way to get into the stadium.
They were scanning the tickets instead of,
Yeah, and you couldn't, and nobody.
I don't know. I've learned some things along the way. Like, I do like the face scan. I walk up, I'm in like 3 minutes.
But if you're not a season ticket holder and you don't have all that stuff set up, if you're just going up for a game, you're just taking your kid up, you bought a couple tickets off of wherever.
Yeah, you're gonna be there all day.
Sucks.
It's gonna be all day.
It's fun going to a game, but you're right. The game day experience itself blows.
It's so bad that I don't even go to the main Browns games.
Same here.
Last
year you were, hey man, you want not this time.
It's tough. My wife bails out, and I'm like, hey,
day.
It's a whole day.
Yes.
I went to I have a 3-year-old. It's tough for me to leave at 6 a.m. so I can go be in Cleveland 6 hours before game time to make sure I can be there for kickoff. When I went to an Indians game. And I was able to hang out in the morning at home, have breakfast, have lunch, go up there, see a game, go back home, and then have dinner with my kid, and then go home and still like play, and then go to do bedtime. It's like I wasn't even gone that long. Right. You know what I mean? And if I go to a Browns game, I'm leaving before she wakes up, and I'm not getting home until she's already in bed. And it's just the game day experience at the current Cleveland Browns stadium is awful. It's awful. So I'm hoping with the dome, weather is all of a sudden like it's just so much nicer. As somebody, I went to a game in a dome in Vegas. It's just so nice, guys. It's so nice, and the way they can construct it can be like more ergonomic. There'll be more things available, so not every concession stand has a 45-minute wait. There can be more bathrooms, so there's not a 45-minute wait to take a piss. It's just, it will be so much better. They can set up the city, the way to get in, the parking. Everything will be designed more modern where you can get in, park, get to your stadium, watch the game, go home. It doesn't have to be a 14-hour event.
No, and these aren't the same domes like in decades past where it's totally enclosed, dark, gloomy roof. There's no sunshine. The freaking roof is all windows.
Yep.
Like whatever it is outside, you're going to still feel that, except if it's cold, guess what? You ain't going to feel that. But if it's sunny, you're going to feel that. You're still going to experience the weather a little bit without, the wind, the rain, the cold. Like, it's going to be so much better.
Yes. Probably going to save me a lot of money. I'm probably just going to go to like one game a year now. Have you heard what like what do they call those? The CPLs or whatever, like the seats. They want like 3,000-4,000 a seat.
Yeah, so you have to, so I didn't know about this, but I was talking
insane.
To you have to lease your seat.
Yes.
Which is already crazy to me.
That's what it is now.
Yes, but but you have to I don't have to lease my seat when I buy a ticket. So why do you have to lease a seat when you're a season ticket holder?
That's fair.
To me, you're crazy for being a season ticket holder
It's
for
stupid.
the Browns.
It's stupid. It's
because
it was like my dream too.
They don't win that many games.
No.
The game day experience is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's insanely expensive. And at least when I watch other teams or season ticket holders, they get perks. They get when they get their season tickets, they're in these dope ass boxes, presentation. Like they feel like you get thrown like a shitty Shears hat.
The Sherwin-Williams,
like a Sherwin-Williams hat that's just like crumpled up in a shitty box.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Here's your tickets. Thanks for coming to the Browns." That there's just not even perks of being a season ticket holder for the Browns. No. It's like no, I would never in a million years.
I know.
If I want to go to a game or two, I'll just look for some single game tickets.
Let's see, Sean.
It seemed like a good idea. I was going to ask what team.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, she says she's a season ticket holder now for the Browns. Never been to a Browns game. Wanted to go, but they need to play better before I waste my money.
Sure.
Hey, join the dog pack because we are going to do we're coordinating another dog pack meetup. Last year we went up for the Chargers game. A whole big group of people from our dog pack got together. We tailgated. It
was fun.
Went to the game. It was a fun time.
What team do you have season tickets for? Just out of curiosity.
All right. While she's
go ahead.
answering,
Yes. Yeah.
We got a couple more minutes here. Let's wrap it up. We got a voicemail from Andrew, and it's with hot takes, and which reminds me that I have a hot take that's not necessarily Browns related, but I want to get it out there. That way, everybody can know how smart I am at the end of this season when it's right again.
All right. Well, let's hear Andrew's first.
What's going on, guys? It's Andrew Jackson here. I got a couple hot takes for you. All 4 quarterbacks will start a game this year, and we will be in the playoffs and win a game.
Hot take.
And also, within the next 5 years, the Bengals will no longer be in Cincinnati. Those are my hot takes. What do you guys think? Love you. Bye.
Love you too, dog.
Somebody's going to pop their practice facility, and they won't be able to afford to get it patched up. They'll just be like a flat balloon underneath the highway. Hot take, not a hot take. Their logo in their weight room right now is awful.
Yeah.
A Bengal is fat. PHAT. Did middle school Blake come up with that?
Yes.
That is so dumb. That is so bad. Season ticket holder for the Cowboys. Okay.
Yo,
well, that's a decent stadium.
That is a decent stadium.
Yeah, much
Good
better.
The Browns starting all 4 quarterbacks this year. I guess the only way I'd say that's a hot take is you're assuming they carry all 4 into the season.
Season? I don't. To me, that is a little hot take.
A little bit of a hot take. Yep. But in terms of like every quarterback on the Browns roster will start a game. Duh.
Probably.
Yes.
And then some that aren't. Some that are on other guys' practice squads. They'll come in here and play.
Make the playoffs and win a game. Definitely a hot take because I think there's a better chance we don't win any games than a chance we win a playoff game.
That's fair. Make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let alone win a playoff game.
And then the Bengals not being in Cincinnati anymore. I don't know. Like they're poor, but are they that poor? I mean,
they're very popular. They like as far as
in
like
Kentucky.
Well, and some of Southern Ohio.
Maybe they'll move somewhere down to Kentucky.
Well, I'm just saying, like I see a lot of kids with Joe Burrow jerseys and stuff like that. So they got some things that are going right for them. Now, I don't know how they're going to continue to pay everybody, but hey, not my problem.
All right.
So what is it? Let's hear it.
Here's my hot take just for the NFL season.
Yes, okay.
Write it down, everybody.
my 2025, 2026 NFL comeback player of the year, write it down, will be Danny Dimes.
The comeback player of the year?
Comeback player of the year.
That isn't
Pro Bowler.
Pro Bowler. He won me a couple fantasy leagues.
It's interesting.
You heard it here first. I'm the guy who said the Lions would finish better than the Packers.
I'm not.
Do with that what you
I'm
will.
not confident with
That was 3 years ago when I said that.
That was when
true.
the Lions looked like crap the year before, and the Packers had Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, turned it around.
So
It wouldn't shock me. You know what I mean? Like
Danny Dimes-
Anthony's a bad season away from not.
I would
being
say-
he's already hurt.
Yeah,
I would
He's out
say
indefinitely.
comeback player of the year doesn't. I could see that happening. It's the Pro Bowler where I'm like, now I think you do have a hot take there. I don't know if it's pro, but
And, I mean,
we
Pro
don't-
Bowl.
what could Shane Steichen do with a quarterback who could actually stay on the field and run the offense?
He's mobile. He can. His biggest problem has just been he fumbles, and the Giants have just been complete dysfunction.
Yeah, I know
You
we
know
give
what I
a
mean?
lot of credit to Dayball, but
He's had one good year.
I mean, should we still?
You know what I mean? It's
I think we're living up that 1 year.
It's
and
gonna
then
be
Buffalo stuff.
It's gonna be a year where Danny Dimes has his best offensive line, his best running game, probably outside of Neighbors, his best wide receiver core, his best weapons, arguably his best offensive coaching.
You think Jonathan Taylor's better than Saquon?
Saquon was. I feel like
I know. I know that's a tricky question because it's
I
like,
feel like
those
Saquon,
2-3 years were
Saquon
kind of
wasn't
rough.
like utilized a lot.
Right,
The
right,
offensive
right.
line was bad. You know what I mean?
He'd be
But
great, and then he'd be.
I guess
hurt.
I won't say necessarily best, more productive. I think like Jonathan Taylor, obviously
He's a dog.
Saquon is extremely productive, but he's a lot of boom and bust in New York because of how bad their offensive line was. And you know what I mean? Like we didn't see Eagles Saquon on a consistent basis in New York. At least I don't think so. Am I crazy for saying that? Like,
That's fair.
and you know what I mean? And then, but he's going to have, I just think he's going to have the best of pretty much almost everything he's had in his career so far. We saw Steichen take Gardner Minshew to the Pro Bowl. I don't think it's crazy. I think he can get Danny Dimes to the Pro Bowl. That's my hot take. What do people think here?
I'm not gonna lie. If he gets in the Pro Bowl and it's because like 4 other guys don't want to be there, I'm gonna be like, bro, that's
That's
very
bullshit, man.
half-ass
He'll be
not
there.
making it. Yeah,
And I won't
Put
let
some
you guys
asterisks on
forget
it.
it.
Oh, I know you wouldn't.
I still
7 other guys turned it down, and
So
then
if he has a great
gets
year
in.
but doesn't win comeback player of the year, this is all void. Like this is wrong.
What do you want to hit
I'll
on?
take at least a little bit of credit.
Okay, that's right.
But if like at the end of this season, people are going, oh man, the Colts might have their quarterback, Danny Dimes. Like, look how good he was. He should have won comeback player of the year. You heard it here first. I'm just saying it right now.
He's
And I won't let you guys forget it for the next 5 years.
like Baker Mayfield off the leash over here.
All right, let's wrap it up. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm hungry.
My back hurts so bad.
We appreciate everybody who listened in. A big shout out to everybody who submitted questions, everybody in the chat who was being
guys are
active
great.
and helping us through this. We appreciate it. You guys helping us get through the slow point of the season now. We got this little stretch where there's just not much going on. So we're going to be depending on you guys a lot to help us get to training camp and get to some more fun stuff. So we appreciate you guys being here, sending in your questions. Again, thedawgspodcast.com if you want to leave a voicemail, or you can just type in a message and send it to us. If you don't want to talk on the show, that's perfectly fine too. Jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member so you can play fantasy football with us. That's always a ton of fun. And again, remember, head to Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia this Saturday from noon to 5 for the Tuscarawas County Browns backers bowling with the Browns Legends event. It's going to be a great time. I know Josh and Justin will be looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Absolutely.
So, again, we appreciate you guys.